that security than the person who lives with us, than the person that we all went and requested that be my guest for the rest of our life? Who else is better deserving of that security, verbally and physically? But Satan made us forget that. When we started abusing verbally, the next step is what? Physical abuse. And unfortunately, some of us, some of the Adams, committed that sin. And there is no hiding. In fact, that bothers me, that really disturbs me when this does not get discussed. Because Jalsa, who understood, and Satan said, Holy Quran sanctions you, by the way, that yes, you can go beat your wife. Wrong. Holy Quran never sanctions any man to ever put his hand out of his anger just to vent his own anger. Wrong. Holy Quran never says. Jalsa, do we understand Holy Quran better than Jalsa? Jalsa said, La tadribu ima'illah. See, don't hit these maid servants of Allah. One day, Jalsa, I want to give you an extreme example. I can tell you everything from the life of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that how he treated his neighbors, his fellow human beings, his family members. But let's go to an extreme, how he treated animals. One day Jalsa joined Hazrat Abdullah bin Jafar, and they went to a garden where, upon seeing Jalsa, there was a camel standing there. And the camel started making very moaning noises, and his eyes welled up with tears. Rasulullah stepped up to the camel and spent some time and then asked, who is the owner of this camel? A Medinite, an Ansar Sahabi, came forward, and Jalsa said, the animal has complained to me that you don't treat him. The words were, कि तुम इसके सलूक में तकवा से काम नहीं लेते. That you don't treat him with righteousness, that you treat him harsh and you put more load on him and keep him hungry. You should treat the animal better than this. Now try and add 1,000 degrees for the conversion from animal to human. Add another 10 degrees for that peripheral human, make him your neighbor. Add another 100 degrees, make him your cousin. Add another 50 degrees, make him your brother or sister, and then add another 100 degrees, and this is your spouse. What is the level of respect? What is the level of love and humility and kindness and compassion does that spouse deserves? So unfortunately, when we became physically abusive, Satan went back to Eve. And since Eve not always was in a condition to punch us back, Satan said, you could be passive aggressive. Now you start keeping your secrets from him. You don't have to share everything with him. You don't have to do everything that pleases him. You can talk back. You don't have to treat his family well. And that is the behavior of passive aggression that then we all witnessed. Making Eve forget the golden principles that Hazrat Amma Jan, the blessed wife of promised Messiah, suggested, discussed with her daughter, Hazrat Nawab Mubarakah Begum Sahiba, at the time of her wedding. She gave her 4 advice. Never keep a secret from your husband. Even if he does not know, Allah will know. And the moment he comes to know, what will happen? You will lose your respect. Second piece of advice, never talk back to him when he's angry. Even if he is wrong, let him calm down, talk to him a couple of days later. Otherwise, in his anger, he's going to say something to you. What will happen? You will lose respect. Never ill-treat his family members. If you do that, you will lose his respect. Unfortunately, Satan made Eve forget that beautiful advice. This started a constant tussle, a constant anger, mistrust, where love was being depleted from that bank account every day. Adam forgot that Hazrat Masih Maud said, a man who stands up against a woman is not worthy of being called a man. And Eve forgot that Hazrat said, that a woman will go to paradise if she dies in a condition that her husband was pleased with her. At this stage, this whole chaos made it to the relatives, to the best friends, to the streets, and everybody started talking about this family where something is going on. And everybody's saying to the other person, don't tell anybody else. You're the only one, by the way, who knows about it. So what happened? Hunna libasun lakum wa antum libasun lahunna. Allah Ta'ala says in Holy Quran, they are a garment for you and you are a garment for them. My dear Adams, my Eves, we tore that garment apart under the spell of Satan. See, any advice that comes from wherever, with all due respect, whether that's the parents, whether they're friends, brothers, sisters, that encourages a couple to sever that relationship, in my humble opinion, is satanic advice. Is coming under the influence of Satan. Because what that advice will do is a couple will be debarred, will be kicked out of their beautiful paradise. So therefore, when this whole discussion goes outside the home, we get into that trouble. The relationship ends at this stage, whether in a divorce or in a long silence, where each person just waits for the right time. And at this stage, Adam and Eve both forget, particularly Adam, that Hazrat Masih Maud said, except indecency or vulgarity, all petulant behavior peculiar to women must be tolerated. And our children look up to us thinking, I wish my Adam, my father, had never gone close to that tree. My Eve, my mom, had never gone close to that tree. Fast forward this a few hundred years, because this probably has been happening for centuries. Those children grew up. Those little children who saw that abuse, who saw that passive aggression, whether they were daughters or sons, they grew up into Adams and Eves. And now, Satan, specifically at this stage, we just heard that men are kawan because they spend out of their wealth. So Satan went to Eve and something very peculiar happened. Satan said, look, it's all about money. If you start bringing home a paycheck, you don't have to listen to this guy, because that's all that's holding you back. And a sentence commonly thrown around in media is, you poor thing, when are you going to have a life of your own? As if, Nauzubillah min zalik, Ummahatul Mu'mineen did not have a life. As if our dear Hazrat Amma Jan did not have a life. So now, under the spell of Satan, a whole new challenge started, because working moms, being a homemaker in itself is 10 jobs. And now Eve, thirsty for that recognition, thirsty for that respect that she deserved from day one, thirsty for that security, she added one more job over those 10 jobs, and the phenomenon of working women came into being. At this stage, we all realize, if you are a working mom, who remembers the phone number to the pediatrician? Is that you or your husband? Who knows the size, the shoe size of your children? Is that you or your husband? Eve was unable to shed those 10 jobs because Adams, we are hardwired a certain way. So therefore, all that emotional energy and reserve that Allah had provided Eve was depleted. And now we are up in arms. We have no patience, no tolerance. We are living in a Walmart world where a marriage is sometimes something you purchase from a Walmart, as long as you have a receipt, you can return and get a full refund. But we fail to understand how we got here. So a quest for paradise on this earth, unfortunately, ended up into a battle for control. No one wants to follow the roles or rules mentioned in this book anymore. In the world filled with Oprah and Dr. Phil and stock markets and our own businesses, I don't know how much we all, as Adams and Eve, spend our time there as compared to here, where the guidance is. And our children are still wondering, I wish my father, my Adam, never went close to the tree. Now, if Adams are still wondering, how did we get here? We lost domestic harmony the day we raised a hand on an innocent woman out of our anger. We lost domestic harmony the day we felt being a homemaker is not a full-time job worthy of respect in its own. We lost domestic harmony the day we got too attached to our own gadgets and we stopped listening to the person sitting right next to us. We lost domestic harmony the day we became too big to apologize. And I think we lost domestic harmony the day we stopped paying heed to the voice of Imam Waqt, Amirul Mu'mineen, that he had to give dozens of sermons. That's the day we lost domestic harmony. So someone will say, in this day and age now, where is that perfect model? Where can you show me someone who walked the walk like Hazrat Imam